years.
Who was your teacher?
Well, I've been encouraged and instructed by a whole bunch of guys. I don't know whether you're familiar with Joe McMoneagle or not. But,
Absolutely.
Joe
Absolutely.
is one of the greatest. He's tops. And also I had a little bit of a correspondence with Ingo Swann some years ago.
Oh, my God. All right.
And Ingo is probably, in my view, the finest psychic remote viewer on the planet. And a number of these guys have encouraged me, and I placed myself in kind of I became a recluse, Mel, for about 5 years. I think it was in, 2003, that I gave a speech at the Bay Area conference, and I said, this is it, I'm finished, I'm out of here, I'm not going to do this anymore. And I went into seclusion here in Phoenix for about 5 years. And during that period of time, I got deeply into, meditation, and I got into remote viewing, and boy, what a shocking experience that can be. I had a couple of out-of-body experiences. I had a near-death experience. And when you cross over, it's the so-called other side, Mel, you realize the infinity of time and space and the infinity of life. And I'm talking about conscious, intelligent life. And I learned two things. I learned, one, that I'm an immortal being, that there is no such thing as death. And I guess the most important thing I learned in those years with remote viewing and out-of-body experiences is that I learned that there is a God. And when you reach that level, my friend, you reach a point that you don't have any more questions. There are no more puzzles. There are no more problems. You reach a level of acceptance and contentment that is almost beyond description. And Mel, that's what's happened to me now.
And it's, by the way, Ingo Swann, if anybody who's listening knows of his whereabouts and can put us in touch with him, and I know he's not giving interviews out. However, we've had a few guests, Mr. Dean this year, who haven't spoken for over 10 years, some of them. One of them was Colin Andrews, who I believe you know, and others who kindly accepted my invitation and were great guests. So Ingo Swann, Mr. Ingo Swann, if you're listening, I'm inviting you on the show. Also, last week I had a friend of yours on the show who really wants to get in touch with you again. She wrote the book, There Is No Death. Dr. Rauni Kilde, you know her.
Yeah.
And she says hello. She wants to get in touch with you. We had a 3.5-hour show to talk about mind control and the fact that there is no death, as you well pointed out.
Oh, death is an illusion, Mel. And that's one of the primary big problems on the planet, is that if people could grasp that they are immortal, infinite beings, if they could simply grasp that this life, this physical life, this life that with this short, brief period of time in this material universe is simply a transient kind of event. It's a learning experience. We incarnate into the human form for a period of time, and we incarnate primarily to go to school, to learn a few lessons. And I think primarily, my primary focus is that we come here and we learn to love. We learn to try to figure out what love is, and love is the most powerful force in the universe. And if people could grasp that, Mel, what a wonderful world this would be.
Absolutely. And I had a great metaphor from Dr. Kilde. She says that we are the driver of a car. Our bodies is the car. The car needs repairs along the way until the point where you have to get rid of the car, or we call it death. But then we open the door and we get into another car. In our case, we may incarnate in another body, in another dimension, in another place. Would you agree with that?
I agree with that totally. And I would add just one thing, is that, the immortal, infinite human soul incarnates on planet Earth, but it can incarnate anywhere in the universe.
Right.
Many of us who who have undergone hypnotic regression have come up with memories of lives on other planets, in other civilizations, as other species. So the universe, is a schoolroom unto itself. But planet Earth just happens to be one of the most difficult schools. I've been told by psychics and by philosophers and mystics that when you incarnate on planet Earth, and you fulfill a couple of commitments here, man, they give you a silver certificate. Because you literally have been through one of the toughest schools in the universe.
Right.
Now, you don't get a gold certificate until you actually complete all of your education. And you don't graduate, you matriculate. And then when you get a gold certificate, you don't have to go out anymore. But I think I might have a gold certificate, or a silver certificate, but I'm hopeful, I've learned a lesson or two this time around, but it hasn't been easy. I paid some dues. I paid some tuition, you might say.
You're too humble. I think we'll give you gold. But speaking of discoveries and revealing, some people may wonder why I ask you the following question. But can you define the word apocalypse?
Oh, yeah, you really got me ticked here now. Every time I speak out, I get ticked off. I guess that's an acceptable term as to the one I was thinking of using. I get ticked off about the fact that a lot of fundamentalists are screaming bloody murder about the apocalypse. Oh, my God, it's the end of the world. We're all doomed. The 4 horsemen are riding. Oh, my. Isn't that terrible? Blah, blah, blah. And I get so angry at that. First of all, I'm not a doomsayer. I don't believe that we're approaching the end of the world. And I'm offended by anybody that talks about it and promotes it and advertises it and makes money from it. But I will tell you this, they misuse the word apocalypse. They talk about apocalypse like, in St. John, the book, the end of the world. Well, that's not what the Greek word apocalypse means, Mel. I encourage people to go to an Oxford dictionary, damn it, and read what the word actually means. It means the revealing, the uncovering, and the disclosing. And what are we revealing? What are we uncovering? And what are we disclosing? Well, here we get back to the whole damn matter again. We're revealing, uncovering, and disclosing, first of all, the reality of the extraterrestrial presence, and we're revealing and uncovering and disclosing, for the first time in human history, I guess, who the hell we are as a people and as a race. That's the apocalypse, and I'm excited about it. I mean, we're living right through the middle of it. And I get really angry about people who keep trying to scare people. And they do it, I think, with a profit in mind. They keep trying to scare people about the end of the world, that you're all doomed. Well, we're not all doomed, and the world is not going to come to an end. And the apocalypse means something very, very different and very, very hopeful. And I ask people to, damn it, pay attention and inform yourselves.
Speaking of fear-mongering, what I'm about to say is not fear-mongering, it's just reality. You are very familiar with the alleged designer flu, swine flu, the probable pandemic that may be hitting the world soon. You worked for FEMA for many years, and we've received information about FEMA internment camps, FEMA trains, etc. How much credence do you give to this?
Well, I give a certain amount of credence to it, Mel, because it's true. During the years when I was in FEMA for 14 years, one of our primary concerns during those Cold War years was a program we called COG, C-O-G, Continuity of Government.
Yes.
And one of the reasons that they were so concerned about continuity of government was the Cold War, the Soviet threat, mutual assured destruction, the threat from a major Holocaust, from nuclear war, and it was a real threat. We in the Soviets, for many times over those years, were at each other's throats. We were really at, the moment of pressing the red buttons. But during those years, I was involved and took training courses and all on continuity of government, and we developed and built an enormous number of underground facilities all over the country to maintain continuity of government. Now, those underground facilities grew and grew and grew. And they're so vast now that the average guy out there have no idea the extent of underground government facilities under his feet. At every major permanent military base in the country, there are vast underground facilities. And we have literally connected some of those facilities, not only electronically through communications, but we have connected them with underground rail systems. Mm-hmm. And that's a reality, Mel. There's no question about it. It's classified. It's sensitive. But Americans, taxpayers, have paid for this program over the years. And yes, we have FEMA built relocation centers. And those do exist, and they exist in a lot of closed down military facilities, camps, forts, all the World War II facilities. Many of them still exist. During the Cold War years, many of them were developed and expanded. And we've got camp facilities, literally, that are in place all over the country. Now, what the intention is at the moment of how to use them and who to put in them, well, I have no idea. I know that the shadow government exists. I've been away from it for a while, and I've been away from... I lost my clearance when I retired from FEMA. So I have no idea, other than what I'm getting from time to time from people who were still involved. And most of the information that I've been getting, Mel, involves the extraterrestrial presence. Mm-hmm. I keep getting information from old cronies and old friends in high positions. A few of them still, some of the old boys network. And they keep providing me with information from time to time, which I cherish. But it's primarily about the technological accomplishments, the separate space program which we have, and the extraterrestrial reality, and the fact that we are literally working side by side with two separate alien intelligences. And that's a reality that the people I